So what's your something is better than nothing story? Getting anything done, not letting that day slip away, making sure you had a sense of achievement, no matter how small that little box was that you ticked off. You didn't give up on yourself, you put yourself first, and you tried to do something that was going to make tomorrow better. And the choice point you had, instead of just stuff that I'll just do it tomorrow, I'll just not do today, you decided I'd do something rather than nothing. So what's your choice point been? Hey, here's a ridiculously fun fact for the fact that once you sort of get accountable and you start getting into routine and a habit, you start to find that you're looking forward. You start to find that you're looking forward to your exercise routine, especially even when you're on the road. That used to be always my biggest downfall. If I was on the road, my health had taken a nosedive. I certainly would not feel up to doing any sort of extra fitness. My diet would go to pieces. But after you've done it for a while, you come to terms with, it is what it is, but you want to do it anyway. It mightn't be perfect. You might end up running around an oval you don't know, or around a place you don't know, and it mightn't be the routine that you want to be in, but you'd prefer to do something rather than nothing. And that's the good thing about getting into a habit routine. It doesn't have to be the best. Each session doesn't have to be amazing. It's do you show up and do something. So this is my current little oval for today while I'm traveling, and I do something. So let's start running. Of course, the thing I always forget to do, which is incredibly crazy, is my body needs to warm up. Needs to do some stretches, needs to do unwinding, especially if I've been driving in the car for long hours and then suddenly get the opportunity. And I always find that if I haven't done a little bit of stretching or just basic walking for a little bit, the body feels horrendous. You feel a bit disheartened. You almost give up. You go to your second or third section within the cycle, and suddenly the body's actually starting to move a little bit. And you remind yourself, I should have actually done a little bit more stretching than just a normal few leg swings, and off I go. I guess that's the same for the morning as well. I do a lot of early running, but often I'm feeling a little bit out of time and a bit time poor to get especially longer sessions done. And I sometimes launch into those without, just get out the door and get going. And of course, you feel terrible. You wonder why you're doing it. You're into section 3, 4, or 5, and you finally, body's moving, and you're almost wrapping up. So, better part of my improvement has to be maybe cut down a little bit on the session, but if you have a better quality in the session because you've warmed up better, you'll feel better for it. Your body will move better for it. You're probably using much better muscles, much more correct muscles, especially when you've had lots of injuries and you already have a body that does sort of weird compensation things and doesn't do anything straight and level. So, do things better. All right, that's that thought. Now, you would have thought this would be the place I do most of the running. Well, I did do a little bit of it there, but it actually turned out to be quite sodden, and it's been a lot of rain up this way. So that was quite sodden and quite uneven. So the wonderful thing in Australia, so many wonderful sporting facilities, even in small towns. And these netball courts, especially the modern netball court that has that rebound surface, is actually more delightful to run on than most running tracks around capital cities. So thank you to Australia for funding these types of little community sporting centres, because it makes keeping fit and keeping going and finding a way forward so much easier. So who else, now that, especially when you're coming back from where you couldn't trust your body, you didn't really trust the recovery and rehab was even possible. But now I actually love the sound, even when it's uneven, of your feet hitting the ground, your breathing, raspy and laboured even though it is. It feels actually, cathartic to be able to have that, rather than feeling that nothing was possible. And it takes a while before you enjoy those sounds, rather than hear those sounds as either what's lost or what might never be capable again. So coming to terms with the fact that it mightn't even sound vaguely athletic, mightn't even seem, and from the outside, like it's any masterful moment, but to you it's everything. And I think that's when you get to that place where you're just comfortable with where you're at. It's pretty cool. So let me know in the comments, one days when you've jumped in and done your stuff anyway, especially when you would have normally gone, no, this is not impossible, and you've stepped up, you've done it anyway, you went out there and made the most of whatever there was to be able to do. So give yourself a tick on the back, give yourself a pat on the back, and realize that not every session is going to feel amazing. Not every session is going to be where you want it to be, when you want it to be. But if you can do something and scrounge something out, you're still way in front of where you were. Good luck, keep up the good work. See you on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.